Imagine a world where nature thrives without us. This video is a powerful reminder to say that world or the nature, the planet does not need us. We need the earth, its resources, its materials, and its ability to sustain life. So actions that we do today, making it so hard for the planet to keep providing for the humankind, right? And as you have seen, the nature really does not need us to survive. It's the other way around. I'm here today because I'm a true believer that all our actions combined together, we would be able to make a difference in everything that we do in life, including the packaging, the most amount of waste that we create in this world. So first of all, let's look at some of the packaging challenges that we face, right? So this is a visual that you see of a garbage mountain, right? And this is a constant reminder to tell us that how much of a waste that we are accumulating into this world, everything that we do. And packaging accounts for approximately 30% of plastic waste globally. Not only that, paper and cardboard are the most main packaging waste material that accounts for 34 metric tons in Europe alone. So you can understand it. We are talking so much about plastics. Plastic is not just the culprit here. There are so many other ways of that we are accumulating quite a lot of waste into this world. So the idea here today and my objective is to talk to you about what do we do in the space of logistics. I mean, global trade truly needs logistics. Everything that you see here in the exhibition arena today, you definitely need the support from logistic players to make the global trade possible. So how do you do that if providers like us would not be thinking about this globally viable topic? We're not just talking about a responsibility here, right? And it is something that we have to do not just for our generations. This is not someone else's problem. This big mountain is not someone else's problem. It is not future generations' problem. It is our problem, right? So how are we going to solve this together? And I'm quite sure some of you may have heard this terminology called Earth Overshoot Day. And if not, what does it mean? So there is a limited resources available in this planet Earth. So the Earth Overshoot Day for 2024 fell on 1st of August this year, meaning that we have used all the resources that can produce in one given year. So imagine you're trying to live off a paycheck of last month and you have already spent it. You don't have it anymore. So this is what we're doing to our planet. All the resources we have depleted already, and it's just been 7 months now. So we are robbing from the future, everything that we do. And this is not just statistics. This is the reality. But if you think about like unknowingly how much of waste and these challenges, this human challenge that we have created, putting a little bit of an effort and thought into it, how we can make a difference, that would be quite remarkable, isn't it? So why sustainable packaging? This is not just a buzzword anymore. People talk about it quite a lot, right? And everything that you see here, any innovation that comes forward, there is an acceptance coming in from the consumers. So the data is clear. 75% of the consumers are willing to support sustainable practices, whether they have to put a little bit of an effort or they have to pay a little bit of extra. That's fine. And using sustainable materials, it's a long-term benefit, and it had proven the fact that it will give cost efficiencies. And also embracing packaging, the sustainable packaging drives innovation, and it also gives a competitive advantage for businesses and for your brand reputation as well when you take it forward with your consumers. There's an amazing quote saying that there is no such thing as a way. When we throw anything away, it must go somewhere, right? So we believe that if we are done with a product, we consume it, we throw the packaging away, it's not my problem anymore. It definitely will go and ended up in a landfill. It's just that we don't see that part of it, right? So we believe that I did my part, but at the end of the day, overall, the life cycle of that product, it's not done yet. It is somewhere in one of those garbage mountains that you see a while ago. Okay, so what are DHL sustainability drivers? Now, one of the global players in the market, we are not immune to this threat. We definitely have to look into ways of not just how to optimize our own processes, but also how we can give back to the community. Our backbone starts with the support for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and also the European regulations. And it demands for us to be in this game of sustainability moving forward, not just with our processes or our vehicles, electrifications, but also with every single material that we used in our own environment. And we do have a very ambitious goal where we have to be net zero by 2050. And we understand that cost efficiency and the waste reduction, it is giving a really big brand impression and a brand value to us. And also, there are a lot of packaging, not just cardboards that we talk about. In warehouse level, we do have so many waste that we create when it comes to plastic wraps or pallets. These are things that you don't see on day-to-day life as consumers, because you would only see the last mile delivery and the waste that it would create out of that particular process. But there are a lot of upstream activities that we do in the overall supply chain that has so much of waste that are being generated in terms of overall packaging. So there are different programs that DHL is doing. One is called the Go Green program. And we believe that this is not just, talking about the concept anymore. You have to take real actions, because this is a real problem that requires tangible solutions. Right. So let's look into few packaging trends in logistics. If you think about this particular exhibition itself, a few years ago, this may have looked really different, right? And from everything that you see here today, these are all demanding trends that are coming into the market. So what you see in the screen here, it quite look like a busy slide, but this is our logistic trend radar. And this is available to public. This is not just DHL's information. We don't keep it with ourselves. If you type DHL Logistic Trend Radar or just Logistic Trend Radar in a Google search, this is the first hit you're going to get. So what does this mean? This is our North Star. Everything that we do in the innovation centers has a purpose, and it follows a very, very straightforward philosophy, being closer to our customers, being closer to our operations, and being closer to technology. Right. So let me just give a little bit of an understanding on how to read this trend radar. There are 40 trends in this radar. All the trends that are represented in green side are the social and business trends, and all trends are in the blue side are technology trends. But oftentimes we see there is an absolute connectivity when it comes to these social and business trends into technology trends. Let's talk about the topic of, let's say, decarbonization. And we all know that we have a huge responsibility, and businesses are requested to decarbonize their supply chains. But you cannot do it without any technological advancements such as vehicle electrification or sustainable fuels. Therefore, you understand the connection between the social and business trends to the technology trends. And there are a couple of other dimensions as well. So anything on the up north of this radar, we believe it will have a high impact to the logistic and supply chain industry. And the red dot represents the industry itself as a whole today. So all the trends that are in that darker gray inner circle, we believe that it will be adopted by the industry within 5 years' time, less than 5 years. And anything on the outer circle, we believe it will be adopted within 5 to 10 years' time. Now, this is the vision. And let's see what are those trends related to packaging alone that we are keeping an eye on. So there are a couple of social trends that you see here: circularity, smartification, and there are some technology trends as well. smart printable, next generation packaging, and bio-based material. So the interest of today and the concept of what we are going to talk about on the sustainable packaging, I will be talking about few of those things, but I'll be available later on if you have any questions around this logistic trend radar. Now, this is not a publication that just released yesterday. This is decades worth of research. And we've released our first publication in 2013 and the second one in 2014. And ever since, every couple of years, we are releasing a new version of this logistic trend radar. And now we are on the 7th edition. And there are 40 trends to look forward for. All right, the first thought is on circularity. We all know that this is something has a real impact and a real purpose when we talk about sustainability, because there is nothing that you can achieve as a sustainable practice without achieving the circular principle or the circular economy of the model. So this trend aims to move people away from the take, make, use, dispose mentality to a circular principle. And we believe that this trend in the industry for packaging has a high impact, and it will be adopted within 5 to 10 years' time. Okay, so let's take a little bit of a closer look onto some statistics of this particular trend. Now, there are 3 times more discussions, conversations, and people are really talking about this particular trend of circularity. Over the past few years, it has tripled. So we know that people are really getting to the topic of circularity nowadays. But globally, if you think about the circularity as a trend and as an adoption, it is still in decline. And since 2018 to 2023, we have a drop of 21% of the adoption of the circularity as a global trend. But also, when we think about our consumption ratio had gone up, and we see a 28% increase on the consumption ratio alone. And you understand the dilemma here, right? We talk about the topic more than 3 times that we have done 5 years ago, but circularity alone itself is in decline, and people are consuming more products than what they have done before. So there is a huge gap between what we really want to do and what we do actually as actions. So how do we transition as a logistic company into the circular principles? Now, it's a mindset shift as well, which we cannot do overnight, right? And if you think about the transition from the traditional packaging to circular packaging, we have come a long way. Our Go Green program itself has developed since 2008, and since then we are looking into different ways how we can really make a difference when it comes to our industry's waste. You may have seen these vibrant yellow boxes and yellow flyers. These are made out of 100% fossil fuel, right? And the flyers are made out of 95% fossil fuel with a 5% recycled material, but still it's not enough. And these are just e-commerce packaging realm that we're talking about. And then we moved into some recycled paper packaging. The brown box is something that we have adopted almost in all our facilities and for our customers as well. And the flyers now are up to 80% made out of recycled material. So there itself, there is a huge advancement that we have done from where we have started at where we are in now. But where do we want to go? This is not just enough. We talk about the circularity, right? These green little boxes that you see here, it's called a green capsule. It's an in-house DHL developed solution that we are using for a lot of the European countries for e-commerce transportation of the packaging. How does it work? The courier takes the package in front of the customer's door. They take the particular item out of the box is returned back to the consumer. And also we are partnering up with different companies, suppliers to go on this path together with us. We definitely cannot do this our own. We are not a packaging producing company, right? So we definitely have to collaborate and forge partnerships with different providers if we truly want to achieve the circularity of our business model when it comes to supply chain. And I talked about the warehousing activities as well. And one thing that we constantly in use are the pallet wraps. So we've started with these black color pallet traps, which are once again 100% fossil fuel based. And then we moved into a 50% recycled plastic material when it comes to the pallet traps. And what you see at the bottom is called a big belt. So in essence, imagine it's like a huge pallet trap that can be put around a big pallet up to this much of height. And this is repairable and it is durable. This has been used up to 500 times in circles, from one facility to another within in-house transportation, because we have huge hubs and service facilities that we want to move these pallets around. So this is truly sustainable. And the end of life is after about 500 uses, but we have seen the benefit coming in after just 20 uses of this material compared to the fossil fuel based or 50% recycled plastic pallet traps. So that itself is a real cost benefit to us. Okay, so the group is reducing the environmental impact, and we understand that, we have to increase the resource efficiencies as well. I talked about different reusable e-commerce packaging. This is one way of doing it. And also the reusable solutions when it comes to the pallet traps. Not only that, we do have reusable crates that we constantly use in our warehouses, and also the cardboard boxes, the yellow ones versus the brown ones, and the flyers, which has about 60 to 80%, and now it's already 80% recycled material. And also the single-use pallet wraps that has been replaced with more sustainable ones so far. And there is another way of doing this. It is not just about materials. Technology definitely can support us as well. And I will talk to you about it in a minute, about the carbon optimization solution that we have. Right, so let's look into another trend topic when it comes to bio-based materials. How are we making a difference here? So these are all traditional biomasses that you would see in landfills or modern biosynthetic resources that we can accumulate out of different processes. We believe that this has a low impact for the industry, and I will tell you why. But we also believe that if these trends take lift off, it will be adopted within less than 5 years' time. So this is one of the solutions. I'm not too sure if you have seen this before. This is made out of mushrooms, and we've partnered up with a company called Grown Bio, and we are testing out this solution. So these are being sourced as an inner packaging material next to the single-use styrofoam packaging. It will replace or you can reshape it to any model that you like. Yeah, so this is amazing when it comes to e-commerce packaging. And this is grown in a laboratory just within 5 days. And it has been produced by commodity, so the waste materials called mycelium, mushroom, and also with hemp. That if you know the agricultural waste, that is a huge challenge. People don't know what to do with hemp anymore. So this solution is a direct replacement for styrofoam, and it looks great as well. So a lot of luxury e-commerce companies are even going into this direction now, adopting this solution. And it is also home compostable within 45 days and marine compostable within 180 days. And if you think about the traditional plastic, that would take up to 500 plus years to compost in ocean, but still it will leave some of those microplastics as well. These are fire resistant and heat resistant, water resistant, and temperature and sound insulated as well. So it can be used in various different sort of requirements that you have as a secondary packaging material. Okay, so I talked about the pallets, right? And this is one of the big challenges that we see when it comes to warehouse operation, not just for DHL. I mean, you would know with your own suppliers as well. So there are different companies that we have partnered up with to have an understanding of what are those solutions out there in the market. Paper pallet is one of those solutions. I mean, anyone coming in from Asia Pacific would know how much of coconut husk waste that we accumulate, right, every single day. And these pallets are completely made out of coconut husks. And it is very sturdy as well. And there is another concept coming out as from a company called Origo, and they're making these pellets out of rice husks and also some agricultural waste. But so if you think about it, this is 100% circular. Once it reaches the end of life cycle, it can be soil, it can be food for the soil. But there are different challenges as well when we talk about these pellets. One is that these are very, very heavy. It cannot be moved with just a couple of people. There is a reverse effect when we try to go on the path of bio-based material. We are incurring more costs, and we are quite high in the carbon dioxide emission as well, because the pellet alone itself is quite heavy. So definitely the payload that you can take on a pellet, it's not as great as a very lightweight model, whether it be cardboard or plastics. Now, when we talk about plastic pellets, everyone raises their eyebrows, right? Everybody thinks plastic is the bad guy here. It's not. One of the companies that we have partnered up with called Repel, and they're producing plastic pellets out of recycled plastics. So if you think about the whole process of creating these plastic pellets, it is circular. Now, the challenge that we have when it comes to the material availability and people are willing to produce these plastic pellets, it is still a little bit less when you compare to the bio-based materials. Because again, when we talk about the plastic, people really don't want to go down that path. But there are so many companies here in the region and the Middle East, in UAE as well, that we have come across really looking into different concepts of how they can repurpose the recycled plastics. And this particular pellet, if you think about the practical scenario in the operations, it is lightweight, it does not get wet, and it does not require phytosanitary certificates, it does not require fumigations, unlike the bio-based materials. So definitely this has so much of advancements and improvements when it comes to usage in the warehouse setting. And it does not deplete quite soon as well. So you can constantly use these materials or the pellets for so many cycles when it comes to in-house transportation between the warehouses even. Okay, so now let's talk about the next gen packaging. When we say this terminology, next generation, next gen, everybody thinks some cool technology will be attached to that. That's not it. Yeah, obviously there are a lot of technologies such as IoT devices that can tell us where we are in this whole journey of moving for sustainability. But the next gen packaging, it's also the concept that you're thinking of how the materials can be evolved as well. And we talked about the mushroom packaging. This also another concept that we can think about for next gen packaging, which we don't see it as a traditional packaging so far. We believe that this has a significant impact, and by the industry, it will be adopted less than 5 years' time. And when it comes to this particular trend, and there, as I said, there are a lot of sustainable bio-based materials, different wireless connectivities, temperature monitoring, location tracking, and understanding the historic data, and even the packaging that we have as assets, we need to know in a particular given time where that asset lies. Once again, think about the scenario of having that huge pallet. If we don't know where that pallet is located at any particular given time, you would know how to recover that back again into the whole process. But it's not just only that. There are different ways where we can think about the whole material modification itself, and whether it be for atmosphere or whether it be for the consumption itself. So styrofoam or the EPS packaging, we see this as a huge challenge, right? And these are made out of 100% fossil fuel. It takes about more than 500 years to break down, and it's highly, highly flammable as well. And there are so much of toxic on these styrofoams. It looks nice, those little peanuts that you find inside a box, but it is just dead space that we're trying to fill with these materials. And there are a lot of regulations that comes in from European Union itself that you can no longer have empty space more than 40%. So we need to find out ways how we can optimize these packages with different materials as well. And also, if you think about the customers paying for this particular space, it is not something that they would ask for, right? Okay, so there are different green packaging alternatives, and this is one company based out of Australia called Planet Protector. What do they do? So they provide the insulations to the packaging materials, and these are being designed from waste. And these are not the wool that you have your sweaters or the jackets created by, but these are purely the waste wool that will be ended up in a landfill otherwise. It can be flat packed, and thermal performance is amazing. So it could be used as a nice insulated material for the packaging, definitely for the cold chain packaging. And it has reduced storage cost as well, void fill of the empty space that we talked about. Right. So remember I said that it's not just about the resource or the material modification. Sustainability is important here. The technology can play a huge role. One of that is through artificial intelligence. As Nadia mentioned before, people wouldn't buy into a solution if we don't talk about AI these days anymore, right? So there is a solution that we have developed years and years ago called carton optimization. What does it do? So it would identify the amount of or the size of the box that is required for a particular item to be packed. And with that, on the warehouses, if you think about it, they don't know what size that they would require. So they have more than 25, 35 different sizes of boxes and boxes surrounded. And also when it comes to the void fill, how many times you have received a package or an item of this size in a box like this, right? And they have put, whether it be paper or even a sustainable material as a void fill, you are paying for that space, that dead space. And you won't feel it much because you're doing a domestic transportation here. But when it comes to international transportation, that space itself, it is creating a negative impact when it comes to greenhouse gas emission because we're taking it up for no reason. So by optimizing the packaging sizes alone, we believe that there would be less than 10% void fill that we can achieve. And of course, that gives the benefit not just for the provider like us, but also for the consumer as well, where they don't have to unnecessarily pay for the space that their package or the item does not take. Okay, so with all of this, you understand that this is not a straightforward line, right? Sustainability is circular, and we have to think about different ways of how we would not just use materials such as plastic, but all the materials. We are only talking about one part of the problem here. But if you think about every single material, whether it be wood, cardboard, or tires even, there are mountains and mountains of landfills that you see for each and every item of these, not just for plastic. Plastic causes a big problem, yes, but then again, we have to rethink about how we use all materials irrespective of its use. And the end of life needs to be very, very clear. And this is a mindset change that we need from the normal take, make, use to dispose to going into a more circular principle where we reduce and recycle and repurpose every single material that we have today. And we cannot recycle our way out of it. This is the truth. Okay, so we believe that to achieve all of this, even forums like this, what does it create? It creates awareness. People need to know about these things. And if you remember what I talked about earlier about circularity alone, the conversations are 3 times higher than what it had happened in 2018. So I want to talk about a little bit on the role of the innovation centers creating the awareness to the people. Now, when you say DHL, you think about a company who moves goods from point A to point B, or a packaging company. That's all that you would think of. But we are in the space of innovation for more than 15 years now. So the purpose of the innovation centers is to serve as a platform to build awareness, talk about these challenges that we face, and partner up with companies, collaborate, and have solutions to move forward for a sustainable future. So globally, our footprint is across all the regions, and our flagship innovation center has started in 2007 in Troisdorf, Germany, followed by our center in Singapore for our Asia Pacific customers. And in 2019, we opened our third center in Chicago for our Americas customers, and the fourth center we've opened in Dubai for Middle East and Africa customers in 2021. And the reason why we have these centers is to provide a safe space for people, not just for our own customers, but for our business units and our partners, academia, like-minded people to come in and talk about these concepts, discuss and discover what are those trends that are shaping the future of logistic and supply chain industry today and next 5-10 years to come. And we want to inspire people to think beyond the norm, right? We all understand that there is a big challenge, not just for sustainability, but overall how we move forward in the global trade. So we want to inspire people to think differently and understand what deemed as unlikely once. And we want to connect them to a bigger ecosystem. So the principle that we work in the innovation centers is purely through collaborations. We don't do our own research and development in-house. We are not doing any tinkering there. We are partnering up with companies and connecting them. We don't sell any solutions. We merely provide the platform for people to come in and see what are those trends and the technology that are available there out in the market that you can adopt in some shape or form. And with that, we want to create value, not just for our industry, but for our own selves, for our own operations too. So we are living in this customer-centric innovation, and it follows through this simple funnel. It all starts with having the vision, and what I talked about, having that vision for 5-10 years time, what is there to come, what are those different trends, and that is the thought leadership piece that we are talking about. And with that, we create exhibits and customer engagements and provide that platform for people to come in and understand what this could do. And also we create proof of concepts. So if there are any solutions out here today, we would love to bring it to the innovation centers and we try out with our own operations and we connect them to customers. So that itself is a huge advancement that we provide in the form of innovation centers. And also, if anyone is interested with our own operations or with customers, if they want to productize and scale up, we hand it over back to the business too. Talking about partnering up or the collaborations, and this is something that we have at the birthplace of it is Dubai since 3 years ago. It's called the Fast Forward Challenge. So in essence, this is a pitching contest. Right, so this year's Fast Forward Challenge held in May, and we have done it in partnership with Dubai Future Foundation. And what we ask for is for people to put forward their solutions and ideas that they have, whether it's a startup company or a scale-up organization, the solution that they could resolve a logistic problem in a sustainable way. We do a lot of mentorship nights, and there are cash prizes involved as well. But in essence, we want to bring in everybody to this little ecosystem that we are talking about. And if you think about logistics, there are not so many startup companies that are getting into sustainable practices or solutions. So that's the platform that we want to provide them to come in and showcase what do they have to offer to this industry. And talking about the sustainability itself, we have a concept called Era of Sustainable Logistics, and we have done already 3, and this is being done in partnership with the United Nations as well. We provide a bigger platform, a globally available conference that we connect like-minded people from various different industries to come in and talk about their supply chain challenges. Our first Era of Sustainable Logistics had happened back in April. And then we had the second version in Middle East and Africa and the third one in Singapore as well. And we constantly proceeding through this because we have seen a huge requirement of people from the knowledge sharing itself to understand different ways that they can commit to a sustainable future forward together. Okay, so it's very clear now from everything that I have talked about, right? And we understand the concept, we know the necessity, and how are we going to go forward? We cannot do this alone. Whether you are a big player in the market or you have a big reputation, there are things that we are good at, and there are things that we definitely have to partner up with and move forward with collaboration. So the future definitely is collaboration. In DHL, we do have centers of excellence dedicated for packaging alone. So these are people who are constantly talking about the challenges that we have in the industry and what are the solutions that we can bring in. And we do have, beyond the European regulation principles, we do have our own packaging principles as well, and including different policies that we as a company need to be adhered to when we are sourcing partners for any of the materials that we use in our operations. And also we have to think about the solutions. The pilots or the concepts are not yet scalable. And we see that here today. There are a lot of people coming up with different solutions. But when you think about the scalability or adaptability in corporations, it is still a big challenge. And the era of where companies could build their reputation just making some statements are over. They have to make real progress, and the actions needs to be there to go down that path. So it needs to start with strategy. Just to put things into a bit of a context, DHL has embedded the green logistic provider of choice as a fourth bottom line to our strategy, meaning there is a huge focus on investing into this green logistic, not just with our aircrafts or different sustainable fuels, but also the material use itself. So there needs to be commitment. It is not just about talking how important this is. And now I have come to the end of my presentation, but I do want to leave you with this quote. To live is to choose, but to choose well, you must know who you are and what you stand for, where you want to go and why you want to get there. So the time of talking about sustainability as a buzzword is over. We need to make collective actions to this collective problem that as humans we have created. So the way forward is collaboration. And again, there is no way that we are going to recycle our way out of this big problem that we have created for ourselves. And this is not just for the future generations to come. And this is something that we see the impact is happening in real time today in our own generation. So I hope that I was able to inspire you a little bit to think differently and to showcase you what we do as an organization. And with that, I want to invite you to scan this QR code if you want to access our logistic trend radar. And thank you so much for collaborating and participating in this.